I'm Air Chief Marshal Sir Andy Pulford, and I joined the Royal Air Force at 18, straight after A-levels, and went through flying training as a helicopter pilot, starting initially with number 72 Squadron down at Odium, cutting my operational teeth in Northern Ireland, 6 weeks on, 12 weeks off. Exchange tour with the Royal Navy next, again on Wessex, but that included the Falklands War in '82. And then I converted to Chinook, which began an association with that aircraft that lasted right through till 2003. An exchange tour with the Australian Air Force, which was great fun, and operational tours in Beirut, the Balkans, Iraq, Afghanistan, and again once or twice back down to the Falklands with that aircraft. My senior time, I clearly was pretty good, it would appear, at leadership and command, because I rose right through the ranks. Commanded the big aircraft group, 2 groups, so the air transport aircraft and all the reconnaissance and surveillance aeroplanes. And then finally Chief of the Air Staff from 2013 to 2016, the professional head of the service, which was a huge privilege. Yeah, and it was, command of an air force is about the people. It's not the machinery. It's the servicemen and women, it's the civil servants, the contractors, and of course huge connection with the broader family. So RAFA, the Royal Air Force Association, and the Benevolent Fund, and the charities that do so much for our servicemen and women. I was very lucky in that I went to BAE Systems as their senior military advisor, so I was able to maintain my links with the service and defence more broadly in the country, and the very exciting projects that company are working on for the future, things like Tempest. So it wasn't a shock of capture, it wasn't a sudden loss. Now clearly I missed responsibility, I missed command, I missed the men and women of the service, but I was in many ways maintaining my links with them. And of course new challenges with business as well, learning what business does, and also ensuring that what the men and women of the Royal Air Force do with the equipment that BAE Systems provides, how the procurement system works, how the political and senior leadership system of the Royal Air Force works in Whitehall. That was all part of my remit, part of my responsibilities, and that eased, if you like, that eased me away from the service. We take for granted the camaraderie, the friendship, the working and surrounding yourself with like-minded people. When you leave the service, you lose that. Civilians think differently. They don't understand. They don't speak the same language of abbreviations and acronyms that we do in the military, and nor do they understand what it means, that the privilege on one hand, but also the level of commitment that servicemen and women actually make in terms of ultimately putting their lives at risk for the better good of the country. Yes, they're fundamental in the first place to the Royal Air Force family and the delivery of operational capability. I don't think we should forget that. They are fundamental to it, and there are many things they do that wouldn't be done otherwise. But on the other hand, they are that important, that vital link between serving men and women in all 3 services and the civilian community, and which doesn't necessarily understand, doesn't necessarily sympathise with what it's like to be in the military. So all that those communities, those charities can do to educate and inform, the better. Yeah, well, I think importantly, just because you've left the service, you haven't left the service. The family is still there, and for anybody out there, that is finding it difficult, transitioning, or has found themselves in a position in their lives where it's not going as planned, then reach out. The family is there, the charities are there to help. There are civilian charities that increasingly understand what it's like to be a veteran, and to the reservists out there that are still serving in that sense, there's an awful lot of help available. And part of my commitment, now I've retired from BAE Systems and Industry, and as a Deputy Lord Lieutenant in Nottinghamshire, is to ensure that we broaden the understanding of what's available, what's being done, and of course, to thank in my own way the communities out there in Nottinghamshire, but also to thank the charities like Care After Combat, which I'm the president of, that are doing so much for our reservist and veteran community.